How's it going, sir? On Segway, guys? So I just installed one of the 219 primary drive kits, the one that's lower geared, and it's supposed to be like adding 10 more teeth to the rear sprocket. So I'm already running a 64T rear sprocket, and my top speed using my non-X controller with the 70 amps down, it would top out at about 20 in eco mode, and then 30 in sport mode. So with this new with the new primary drive lower gear kit, it's supposed to make that more like a 74 tooth sprocket. So you know, just so people know, yeah, you can put this cover back on over that nut, so it is still kind of it's not that much of an eyesore. I'm not sure if the belt cover will cover the chain, because I have the Kaniwaba power pedal kit, and it won't clear the cover, so I just left it off. You can see the lithium grease up here. But yeah, I'm just gonna go and do a quick top speed test, and you know, maybe you guys can hear the sound. It is a bit louder than the belt, but I'll talk more about that later. All right, so let's see if I got my GPS going for the speed. All right, so there we go. So this is a slight incline. Right by the yellow fire hydrant is where it kind of levels off, so I'm gonna have it in eco mode up until that point. I mean, the rule of thumb is every tooth increase on the rear sprocket is 1 mile per hour slower. So I don't know if that's going to be accurate. I'm sure it scales in terms of ratio. So we'll see how fast it goes in eco mode, and then I'll switch it over to sport mode for a little bit of the ways. And just to give you guys an idea of like how massively you can put the gearing lower on this bike by going with the lower primary drive and the biggest sprocket that's available that isn't custom, which is the 64 tooth sprocket. All right, so let's go. So right now I'm already full throttling it. And going up this hill, it is holding at 17 on my iPhone GPS, and right now the voltage is sagging down to 64.4, 92%. I mean, you know, it was hot off the charger last night, so I haven't been riding this at all. So this is probably the fastest it's going to go in eco mode with the battery like this. So it's leveling off right about here, and yeah, it's not getting any faster on flat ground. All right, let's go ahead and kick it into sport. Woo! Love that instant sport. So in sport mode, I am 29. I'm going. Yeah, it's holding at 29. Down to 27. Sliding. Now it's leveling off again. 28, 29. Maybe a slight downhill, but we're holding at 29. So there you have it. So with the lower gearing kit, it didn't really change my top speed that much at all. So maybe by 1 mile per hour. Already using the 64 tooth sprocket. Yeah, not a whole lot of difference, but definitely a lot more torque. So I mean, it is quite loud though. It is quite loud. Let's go ahead and stop here. Alright guys, so let's talk a little bit more about this 219 primary drive kit that has the lower gearing. So in my not really install video, but in the video where I did install it, the swing arm nut, I ended up replacing it with a 75-cent nylock nut from just the local hardware store. I'd like to mark my nuts, especially the ones that I take off, like the axle nut, and well, that's not even the one I took out, so I probably have to redo this one. But yeah, so I've ridden this Friday, Saturday, and today as well, and it is noticeably louder. When I initially did the install, I did tighten up the chain all the way, and you know, until there was like no slack at all. And when I was riding it, the bike sounded like an airplane taking off. It was super loud. And I loosened up these bolts, and I rocked the notch back just once on the adjuster on this side. So this adjuster, so there's a little bit more slack on the chain, and it's a little quieter. You can see all that lithium grease that whipped up over there. But so far it's pretty good. As you saw earlier, I kicked it off with the top speed. It didn't really affect it that much, which is great. I mean, you know, it's gonna be you know, all about gear ratio, not really, you know, teeth to miles per hour. I'm sure, you know, when you're going from like a 48 T sprocket to a 64, of course it's going to be hugely noticeable. But as you keep on lowering and gearing, unless you go with a rear sprocket as big as the rear wheel, it's it's going to be less and less noticeable. So yeah, this I'm glad this was able to go back on. You can kind of see how the washers are stacked there. So I did go with 2 towards the motor, and then the rest on the other side. Most people have been reporting that's how you line up the chain the best. Other people have done 3 underneath. So yeah, I mean, this just worked for me. I would try 2 at first, and then go to 3 if you're having chain alignment issues. And yeah, so that's pretty much it so far. It is a little bit more noisier, and the reason why I'm over here is I want to hit that hill, which is a really steep hill, pretty hard to go up with a pedal bike. I've never been able to do it on a pedal bike, and I've been riding here my entire life. So we'll see if I can make it up there in eco mode. I might have to kick it over into sport. And the real test is if I can start at the base instead of hitting it with speed. So I mean, that's kind of the goal with this bike, is have the gearing to a point where I can go explore and just really you know, just take off from a stop if I need to, without having to back up and hit anything with speed. All right, let's try to get in front of these people. I don't know if it's gonna be able to make it up that. It's so steep. Probably doesn't look steep at all on the GoPro because of the wide angle lens. But we'll see. Maybe I need to give myself a little bit of space. Okay, so eco mode. Let's see how it goes. Oh, it's trucking. It's trucking. I probably look ridiculous to all these bystanders because I'm actually pedaling. But hey, in eco mode, made it up this super steep hill. Let's see what I accomplished. So, yeah, yeah, that's really the goal with this setup. And if you're trying to gear low for stuff like this, it makes sense. I know a lot of people who are purchasing these bikes are purchasing them as dirt bike replacements, so something like this you would just hit with speed and you would have no problem making it to the top. But I mean, for those who are trying to emulate mountain bikes from this, or you know, trying to go into the e-bike path, then yeah, I would just gear as low as possible. Also, you know, if you are going with 72 volts, it does benefit you on having more usable power, because you know, like if you watch all those videos, even some of my videos, like when I was running 72 volts, it's, you know, it's easy to get to 70, but like, where are you really going to use that speed, especially on dirt? Not a whole lot of places. I mean, it's great for commuting, having that power, getting in front of traffic, but you know, when you're on dirt, I don't know, maybe dunes. Like, I'm trying to think of where you're gonna need that type of speed and gearing. Like if you're hitting dunes that are like the size of buildings, then yeah, maybe. But yeah, you know, you guys can probably hear how much louder it is. My bike is just already louder. You might be able to hear the creaking from the square wave controller. The controller's louder than the X controller, so this bike is just louder in general. But so far, let's go with this little thing. This is awesome. Yeah, so definitely no regrets going with this lower gear primary kit. I never had any issues with the belt, but if you're trying to gear it lower, then this might be a better option than going with a really big rear sprocket, because the chain does touch the swing arm, especially when you start romping on it and you get some chain stretch, the chain will actually start hitting the swing arm there. I'm not sure if the newer bikes come with the little chain guard, but I know people put their own on, and was it Saran Shop from Russia, they have a little piece that you can put on there as well. But I don't know, it's like the amount of chain damage on that swing arm is going to be so minuscule that it doesn't really bother me having those little marks on the swing arm. And there are other people that have run custom sprockets that are like 74T that just take an angle grinder to it for clearance. So I mean, yeah, I wouldn't really worry about the cosmetic damage. I mean, it does sound like ass when you're bouncing off stuff and you have a really loose chain and you hear it hitting the swing arm. But again, like, so if you go with the lower gearing primary kit, you can go with the 54 tooth sprocket, which is substantially smaller and have the same gearing. So that's pretty much it, guys. Yeah, nylock nut, probably a good replacement. I forget the name of the actual tool to remove that little swing arm nut, but it was mentioned in the previous video, and there are links to it as well. So eBikeZilla has a socket that goes on there, and if you email Lunicycle, I think they will sell the swing nut wrench, which comes with their secondary belt drive. It's like just a wrench that has the notches to take out the swing arm nut. All right, guys, so have fun on your bikes. You know what? Let me hit this hill in sport mode. I just want to just want to feel how it is. Let's hit it dirt bike style with some speed. That feels good. Too much fun. All right. Okay, I'll end the video here.